where music, connection, and inspiration meet.
I'm DJ Hamoris.
And I'm Erin May Lewis.
Together, we're your hosts for these beautiful conversations that celebrate the vibrant women of the dulcimer community.
Since June of 2022, Dulcimoon Talks have brought you into the lives and stories of extraordinary women, leaders, teachers, producers, and artists who are shaping and sharing the art of the dulcimer in unique ways.
Our guests come from all walks of life. Many balance their passion for dulcimers with careers far outside the music world, yet they all share one thing: a deep love for the dulcimer and the joy it brings to teaching, practicing, performing, and creating.
Each episode is an intimate journey exploring personal musical paths, sources of inspiration, and the beautiful ways dulcimers weave into our lives. Think of it as the kind of meaningful conversation you'd have while sharing a meal at a festival. A mix of insight, laughter, and heartfelt connection.
Whether you're a long-time dulcimer enthusiast or just curious about this amazing world, Dulcimoon Talks are here to inspire, inform, and delight.
We release new talks twice monthly and are thrilled to have you on this journey with us. Make sure to subscribe and join the growing community as we honor the magic of dulcimers and the people who make them sing.
Dulcimoon Talks, sharing stories,
celebrating connections,
keeping the music alive. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. This is Dulcimoon Talk number 63. I'm DJ Hamoris, and today we have Irma Reeder with us today. Hi, Irma.
Hi.
It's so good of you to join us today. We've been looking forward to having you come on because you're a New Mexico dulcimer player, which is an unusual thing, right?
There's not very many of us here.
Yeah. So tell us about New Mexico and your dulcimer world there.
Well, I have often called Albuquerque and New Mexico the dulcimer wasteland because there have been so few of us here. It's a real bluegrass town, and dulcimers aren't really accepted as viable instruments, and so it's a little bit of a stretch to try to find people who we can learn from, who can teach, who can participate in other programs to promote the instruments. And so since 2000, and I started playing in 2005, and since that time we have founded our own New Mexico Dulcimer Association, a nonprofit, had a number of festivals. And the funny thing about having those festivals, we were so tired of having to travel outside the state to get instruction, we thought, let's just bring them here. And actually that really helped unite some of the dulcimer players in New Mexico. That's the only time we would see each other.
Absolutely.
And so it was a great thing. We had to stop during the pandemic, and so we're limping our way back. But it's just been wonderful when we have been able to bring people in and give us different perspectives. I think because a lot of us here in New Mexico learned on our own and did our own thing, we do things a little differently. I'm sure most people have found that when you go to different festivals, no matter where you are, they're going to play Old Joe Clark differently than you do at home. And so it's been fascinating to go to festivals in different parts of the country and then bring what we learn back to New Mexico, back to our core group here in Albuquerque, where we can then pass on what we're learning to them. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, what I love about what you're saying is the community building aspect too, finding like spirits, right? The dulcimers minded folks, the dulcimer curious. I always say in my ads, are you dulcimer curious?
And we have programs to help with that. I have a group of students that go into libraries, and there's a lot of libraries in Albuquerque and in Rio Rancho, which is a suburb. And we take our presentations into these libraries and we talk about the history and we talk about the changes to the instrument and what maybe the future holds and different people who other non-dulcimer people would have heard that play the dulcimer and show them different styles of playing. We have a great time with that. And Scott joins us with that, and he does the same for the hammered dulcimer.
Was Scott's your husband?
My husband, Scott, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that we do. We do that throughout the year. Then we just 2 years. We just started our second year of strings of the Southwest Dulcimer Jam. We haven't had a dulcimer jam in New Mexico for decades. And so we finally got one started at a library where hammered and mountain dulcimers can come together, but all acoustic instruments, although it's a little bit dulcimer centric. So we can start getting people to hear the instruments. Whether they're coming to the library presentations or they're coming to the jams, they're hearing the instruments and they're seeing how they work. Let's see, we also have workshops at the Albuquerque Folk Festival, which is, they have several thousand people come to their music festival every year. It's at the end of this month. And we have a kind of an intro/beginning dulcimer workshop that I lead with some of my students. And then our library students also have an hour that they just play music at the welcome tent. So people come in and they see dulcimers. So we really try to get out there. And of course, Scott and I do our own music. And we get out there with weddings, concerts, parties, whatever we can do to say, these are wonderful instruments and you need to play with us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you said that you picked up the dulcimer in 2005.
I did.
How did that happen?
Well, it's a funny little story. There used to be this wonderful folk music instrument shop here in Albuquerque. And they had all kinds of instruments that I wasn't familiar with. And so we would go in and we'd browse and we'd look at what they had and, strum them on the wall. Well, I noticed that there were these hour-shaped instruments hanging on
hourglass, yeah.
And I thought, what are those? And I thought, And there was one in particular that I would lovingly pet that had a gorgeous rose inlay in the middle of the fretboard. And well, long story short, Scott bought that Blue Lion dulcimer for our anniversary. And that's where it began.
Do you have that right with you?
No, that was a long time ago, and I moved on to other instruments that I ended up being more comfortable with. Blue Lions are gorgeous; they are beautiful, and the person I sold it to loves that instrument.
Great. For our listeners who are not familiar with it, the Blue Lion is really well known for the abalone mother of pearl inlay, and often it's flowers, roses, and sometimes more custom than that. Several other builders also do that. I know that Joellen Lapidus in the Los Angeles area often does mother of pearl inlay, and she names her instruments like the pelican, and, based on her own inspiration. I love how the inspiration of the instrument is not just the music and the sound, which is what most of us fall in love with, right? It's also the culture around it and the beauty of the instruments of the makers, the imagination and innovation of the makers that help us become better players simply by making something that sounds and looks so beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. I have a number of instruments from different builders, and each one has its own special place in the music that I do. And it's just wonderful. It really helped me understand the impact of the wood and the creativity of the builder that creates this amazing sound. And I always tell people, those cardboard dulcimers are great for kids in classes, but if you really want to go somewhere, you need to get an instrument you can grow into. And that will be a joy to play in all skill levels, whether you're a beginner or you're an advancing intermediate or wherever you are. If that instrument has a beautiful sound, you're going to play it.
Yeah, definitely. So Dulcimer came in 2005, but you were a musician before that.
Oh, yes. I grew up, I was so fortunate. I grew up in a musical family, and as a little girl, and with my two older sisters, my mom taught us how to play guitar, and we would play guitar and sing all throughout my childhood. And so it was just a wonderful introduction. I can't imagine a life without music. It's just always been there. When I got into my teens, my rebellious teens, my way of rebelling against the music that we had been playing, the Johnny Cash, Sons of the Pioneers, the folk music, what my way of rebelling was to start studying classical music. And then that carried on. I fell in love with musical theater and just had so much fun with that. But the one thread throughout my life of playing whatever instrument that I was doing were ballads. I loved those story songs. I loved to be able to tell a story. It was like a book put to music. I just enjoyed that so much. And still to this today, my particular favorites are those 70s, those 70s singer-songwriters. I love my Gordon Lightfoot ballads. And so I do a number of those. But having had that musical background really helped me with the dulcimer. Because when I came to the dulcimer, the first thing that I looked at, of course, I see everything in chords. I played guitar my whole life. Everything was about chords. So chords for me came first. And then the more technical aspects of playing melody. I had never played lead on an instrument before. I always played chords, no matter what instrument I was playing. And so it was a real challenge and a joy for me to get to play the melody this time on the dulcimer. But there were people who inspired me. When I first got the instrument, I have to say, I was not all that enthusiastic because I really didn't know what I could do with this. It wasn't my guitar, it wasn't my harp, it wasn't the banjo, it wasn't, the other instruments that I enjoyed, it wasn't my piano. So what do I do with this? So 2 months after I got the dulcimer, we went to Russell Cook's last Sawdust Festival. And that was, I think, October 2005. And I took classes from wonderful dulcimer teachers. And one in particular that I still remember the name was Linda Brockington.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought, whoa, this is wonderful. But there was one moment that changed the dulcimer for me, and my whole thought about what I would do is I walked into the concert tent, and I heard Mark Tyndall playing 4 equidistant strings and singing, and I thought, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. And now it took years for me to get there. I had to learn how to play the dulcimer. Larry Conger's classes I took at a festival in Colorado, and he really broke it down for me. Reading the tab, hand efficiency, all of those good basic skills that we need to have.
Yeah.
And so I learned those things, and then I thought, well, I was just kind of stuck playing some more simplistic technical songs. Mm-hmm. And so we had started having our own festival and having people come in. And then there came another wonderful player who was such an inspiration to me. And it was Janita Baker.
Oh, yeah.
And Janita Baker came in, and of course she plays this amazing style. And the thing that she really impressed upon me was play the music you love. Don't let anyone tell you what you should or shouldn't do. play the music you love. And then I thought, ooh, now there's a thought. The first headliner we had at our festival was Aubrey Atwater.
Oh my.
And, oh my gosh, what a wonderful performer, wonderful musician. And I paid attention. I thought, I want to see what she does with this, because she also did some 4-string music, but she was sitting in the concert and she was playing Spanish Lady, which I love. That's still my favorite of her songs, but I love that song. And I was watching her and she was singing and playing and having a blast. And it was just like this duh moment. I've spent my life singing with the guitar. I can sing with the dulcimer. And that's really when I started putting into practice the things that I saw Mark Tyndall do. And I thought, yes, this is what I want to do. And that's not all, of course, that I do. But when I perform solo, that's what I do. And this is, you can hear the sound. That's my baritone. I sing with my baritone because it makes happy vocal keys. And it also has this nice mellow sound that's so perfect for ballads. So
that is wonderful. That's fantastic to hear. Mark Tyndall is going to be one of the teachers at the Baritone Dulcimer Day that we're doing this November.
I saw that.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. And Linda Brockington and Larry Conger and Janita, who is one of the builders of the Blue Lion.
That's right.
She
does the inlay, I believe.
Oh, is that the way it goes? Oh, interesting. We keep wanting to have her on this, but she's in the wilds of Ojai, California, and doesn't have enough internet connection to do that. We'll work it out someday. Maybe I'll travel down there and just do a recording or something, because I got a chance to meet her at Dulcimer U, where each of us did a stint with the Dulcimer Orchestra. We led the Dulcimer Orchestra there. So she's something. She is definitely something.
She's a wonderful person and a wonderful player. Just inspiring.
Yeah. And the singing with the dulcimer, I know that there are many of my students who say, I don't know how you sing and play at the same time. Well, I have to explain that singing was my identity before the dulcimer came along. Mm-hmm. And I picked up the dulcimer because I wanted a pitch instrument to rely on, because I was not confident about my own pitch, right? Singing a cappella was like beautiful, but who knew where I was going to end up. So that's how I did that. So from the get-go, it was all about that. And it sounds like that's a similar thing for you. It's like when you figured it out, you went, of course I want to go there.
Well, and it was just a natural progression after that to take the songs that I did with the guitar or with other instruments. I then felt, well, now how do I do this with 3 or 4 strings? Mm-hmm. How am I going to create an accompaniment that is more than just a more simplistic strumming? So what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I did is that and of course this is easier with 4 equidistant strings, is that I took my guitar picking patterns and I applied them to the dulcimer. Mm-hmm. And that was a real breakthrough, being able to do that. Mm-hmm. But also seeing the dulcimer as part of a duet. It's not just voice, not just guitar. It's this weaving it together, so that maybe sometimes the dulcimer's playing the melody and I'm singing harmony, or maybe it's vice versa, or maybe sometimes the dulcimer takes a verse and I interject something in there vocally. It's a true duet. And not always, of course. Sometimes, especially if I'm playing my Gordon Lightfoot, I'm strumming along and I'm singing Gordon. But the things that really cause me to be passionate is arranging things for the dulcimer that is maybe from a more vocal standpoint. I was a church music administrator and choir director and music leader and pianist and all that sort of stuff for more than 37 years. I hear parts.
Yep.
And so when I came to the dulcimer, when I played, I wanted more than just one part. And so when I've done my CDs or when I've done my books and I've done my arranging for classes, a lot of times there are moving parts. Mm-hmm. So the music doesn't stop when the melody stops. There's something that continues on, much like the fiddle in between the vocals. All of a sudden the fiddle does something really cool. Well, the dulcimer can do that. And so I'm really passionate about unusual arrangements, taking the dulcimer where it's never gone before, but doing interesting things that make people go, ooh, what was that? Because I know that sort of interest in music is what causes me to take a second look. And so I know it's what other people are looking for. What are they going to do different with this song I've heard 50 times? And then being able to teach that. Shall we talk about teaching?
Yeah, I was going to say, so did arranging became part of your performance, but it sounds like all of that became part of your teaching.
I started teaching. I had barely been playing a year. The man who was teaching it, like I said, this is Albuquerque. There's not a lot to choose from most times. Right. And so when I had been playing for about a year, this gentleman contracted a terminal disease. And he was the teacher. He was the Pied Piper for dulcimer in Albuquerque. And before he died, it was like an MGM moment. He said, would you please take over teaching my classes? Because he knew I had been teaching music since my teens, but I was new to the dulcimer, but he felt I could do it. And I thought, okay, sure, I can keep 1 week ahead. But one of the things that kind of grew into is my own instruction with dulcimer was so spotted. And so often I would come across something later on and realize, I've been doing this in an inefficient way. I need to relearn how to do this. Yep. So when I started teaching, I wanted to teach people how I wished I had been taught. And that's from the basics. Yep. Basics first, build your foundation, then do what you please. So certainly arranging is one of the things that I teach, and I've taught that at Quarantunes a couple times in different places. Arranging is part of that for more intermediate students. But even from the very beginning, we learn chords. We learn how chords affect what we're playing. We learn good hand movements, efficiency. And I explain what that is. I've had students that have stayed with me, 10, 12 years now, more than that. And I get new beginning students. I have one that just started just in the last week. But it's always the same thing. And I explain to them, I'm not in the business of trying to get people to fill slots in my day. I want people to see the instrument, to learn the instrument, and to become passionate about it. Not just, I'm just... And, I know that music is so subjective. And everyone that plays dulcimer has their own thoughts and feelings. And there are people who just adore playing traditional music, and that's wonderful. I enjoy it too, but that's not my passion. So my hope is that with my students, I can teach them a variety of styles of playing, and they find what speaks to them. They're playing to their passion, not just a technical experience.
Yep, that's it. As a teacher, I've come to understand, I've been teaching dulcimer since about 2009. I've been playing since 79, but it took me that long before I actually decided to teach. But what I've come to understand is my job as a teacher is to help them unlock their own mode of expression, and to help them have, first of all, I had tennis elbows in both arms at the same time because of typing in a wrong situation. That was my job. It was typesetting, actually, for a magazine. And so I am just really clear about posture and hands and relaxing everything.
Oh, yes. Yes.
All this stuff. But also, I know that most dulcimer teachers that I know have been self-taught. We've all been self-taught. Erin May is lucky. She had somebody almost from the very beginning. But most of the adults that I know, that I'm in my 70s, I'll be 73 in a few days. And it's like, I had to fill in those gaps. I had piano lessons. I was a music major, but that's not the same as deciding to learn a totally new instrument. Diatonic, that wasn't even a word. That wasn't even a word in any of my music education. So it was really interesting. And I love being able to teach people the things that I didn't get a chance to learn from someone else until many years later.
Right. Oh, and one of the things too, one of the reasons I like to have the possibility of showing different styles here in Albuquerque is, like I had said, it's a bluegrass town. Right. And being part of the folk festival for many, many years in different capacities. One time I took my dulcimer into an after fest party jam. And the minute I walked in, I had two strikes against me. First, I was a woman. Second, I had a dulcimer. And someone very loudly exclaimed, very snarkily, "Well, now we'll have to play everything in D." And I responded equally loudly and not quite as snarkily, "I can play in whatever key you choose to play. You just play, I'll keep up." They put me to the test, and I did it. It was like, there you go, got it.
Right.
And so, and I had someone tell me, "I've never heard the dulcimer played like that before." And I wanted to say, there is such an ignorance about dulcimers, that it's not a real instrument, that it's an antique oddity that you trot out and show, and then you put it away in favor of real instruments. They believe that the dulcimer is not a real instrument, and the people who play them aren't real musicians. Yeah. And so it's a tough crowd here in Albuquerque. It's tough. But one of the other things, you had talked about your hands and being careful how you play. I certainly do that with my dulcimer students, but I found out the hard way too. I started teaching this 90 voice seniors show tune choir through this group called Oasis, and they're a national organization where they do things for adults. It's no longer just over 55; it's for all adults. And so I do this show tune choir with an amazing pianist, and I am directing for an hour and a half. Every week, this straight hour and a half, hands in the air. And after about the first couple of semesters I did it, I started aching. And I thought, oh my gosh. And so when people come to me with the dulcimer, I'm always telling them, you need to sit straight. You need to be relaxed. Your arms need to be relaxed. Your hands relaxed. Be thoughtful, because as you get older, it's going to come back to bite you if you aren't thoughtful about it. And you have to be kind to your body as you're playing these instruments. But I know a lot of people come to dulcimer and to me here because they have arthritis, or they have carpal tunnel, or they can't do this thing with the guitar anymore.
That's right.
And I tell them, the dulcimer's great. You have gravity that's in your favor, and you have your hand in this position all the time. And it's just great to be able to have something that I can promote to people of all ages, younger and older, that for one reason or another, it's going to fit you and you're going to have a good time. It's not the easiest ever to play. It's the easiest, one of the easiest certainly to get started on. But then, you know, once you learn the basics, you can make it as difficult and as technical as you want, just like any other instrument.
Yeah.
But it's been a joy to be able to show dulcimers to Albuquerque, and we have definite plans to continue doing that every way we can.
Yeah, yeah. You were talking about popular or other players that people often know about.
Mm-hmm.
Cyndi Lauper comes up a lot. Of course, Joni Mitchell.
REO Speedwagon. And I can't think of the other band. There's a really famous band. Anyway, but also what I tell people about those people is that they didn't necessarily play technically. They played the dulcimer, and it was great, and they were very famous for some. I think Joni Mitchell's Blue album that she played a lot of mountain dulcimer on. But I also tell people to think about, you know, it wasn't their primary instrument.
Right.
And think about all the things you can really do with the instrument other than playing rhythm guitar on the dulcimer. Right. And to take that inspiration from the people that we love listening to and then see what we can do with the dulcimer and then take it a step further.
Yeah, definitely. And the classical music for me, I kind of turned my back on it for a while, but I've come full circle. I have a book of Purcell and also what they call the antique Italian arias that I learned, and both of those are dream projects of mine to the dulcimer. Early music is so beautiful in the dulcimer.
Oh, it is. It's very. The dulcimer really lends itself to that, I think.
Yeah,
but I do a lot of show tune arranging.
Oh my goodness!
One of the first times that I went to Winfield. Of course, I was doing my own thing. Instead of paying attention to what people were playing around me. And I had arranged Music of the Night from Phantom. And and I thought I played it well. How I had it arranged. And I went through it and people clapped, and someone backstage said, "Oh, you were playing opera." And I got such a kick out of it. I didn't make it to second round, because I did have people telling me, you need to change how you play. And I thought, oh no. Because too, it's not really about how people see us as musicians. I mean, that's always a part of it. But it's how it speaks to us. Are we being true to ourselves with the music that we're playing, whatever kind it is? And it's just like what I said before. You know, you learn the basics and then you play what you love. Do the music you love.
That's right. We don't have to try to convince anybody that what we're doing is legitimate. We're playing what we love.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah. Playing opera.
You know, I didn't even correct them. I just said, yeah.
That's so good. So I think that I've seen you at Quarantine playing, you and Scott, right?
Yeah.
Has that been an interesting part of your life? Has it added to your...
Certainly, it has been very helpful. It has been very helpful. And I love the opportunity, like so much about the dulcimer. I mean, we know people that we would never have known otherwise.
Right.
And I have gotten to know people across the country who regularly take my classes, and that's so cool. Some of them have taken arrangements out of my books, and they'll do it somewhere, and they record it and they send it to me, and I think that is so cool, because that's what it's about. It's almost like we're begetting other dulcimer players, and so I have really enjoyed Quarantunes. One of the things that was a real challenge to me the first time I did it many years ago was the idea that it almost becomes a lecture. And you're demoing and you're lecturing instead of having people around you and you're looking at their hands and you're listening to what they're doing. And it's not this kind of one-on-one, even in a group when you're in person, it's not that sort of thing. And so it took a little while to get used to this whole lecturing idea. But yeah, now it's figured out, and I enjoy doing that. And I enjoy trying to show some of the different things that I do in those classes.
So you said your books, you're talking plural. Talk to me about your publications.
I have 2 books, and let me see here real quick. Ooh, in the flesh. I have 2 books. Well, the first one is called what is it? The Gift of Snow, and it has my sister's dog on the cover. In the snow, but I wanted to do something for people who would be able to play solo, or they could play with their friends or in an ensemble setting. And so my arrangements of these Christmas carols, and most of them are fairly on the obscure side, they have the solo section that you can just play. And then there's some type of harmony and maybe baritone or bass. And then when I did my hymns book, and the hymns cover is really fun too, because it's this little church in Arkansas that my family went to before I was even born. It was on Gravel Hill in Arkansas. But the songs, the hymns were ones that have always been beloved to me. It's everything from more high church was A Mighty Fortress Is Our God, to Come Ye Sinners, Poor and Needy. But again, I've taken solo versions and then added some other parts so that people can play with their friends, they can play in ensembles. And I really wanted to, with The Gift of Snow, I really wanted to have the bass, the baritone, be part of that. And included in that book is a page of baritone chords, so that they could actually kind of get a feel for, I'm going to tune to A, D, A instead of A, E, A, and this is how I'm going to do this. And so I really wanted with these books to give people maybe something just a little different than the average tab book. I wanted full arrangements. There's intros, there's breaks, there's outros, there's multiple times through. It's involved, and each time is different. Really, each arrangement teaches arranging about how you set different parts apart. A lot of times I don't use bass like bass guitar, although certainly you can. But I use bass a lot of time as a lower harmony part. Again, like vocal music, where you have the 4 parts and you have the bass adding that kind of bottom harmony part that really kind of fixes how all the other parts work together. So I have my 2 books. I have 3 CDs. The first one is called Lady Mary, and it's pretty much solo dulcimer with some accompaniment with other instruments. The second CD I made with Scott, and it's a holiday. It's Christmas, and again, it's more obscure music. You're not going to really hear jingle bells, on this CD, but you hear many instruments. So we got to play around with lots of things that we play, including dulcimers, on that CD. Then the last one I did was called Possibilities, where I just kind of went crazy and had a great time doing it. But I play all of these pop songs and different things of that nature. But I'm styling the dulcimer somehow as another instrument. Maybe I'm lead guitar. Maybe I'm rhythm guitar. Maybe I'm doing something else. But all with the idea that look what you can do. You know, you can play your pop songs, but you don't have to play them like you're playing the dulcimer. You can mimic other things and have such a good time with all of the different possibilities with these songs. And any song you like, you can do the same thing to. Right. So I had great fun with the CDs. Making them made me a better player. Because I've heard myself.
It really does that.
And I think doing the books made me really, really focus on how people approached playing tab. But I really was able to exercise my passion for arranging with those books. And so some people are thinking, did she mean that chord? And I think, yeah. Dissonance. Ooh.
Yeah. Dissonance is harmony.
Yes.
Well, you know, you're talking about getting your passionate nature across in these arrangements to your students. And I just feel like this whole talk has been such a good example of your own passions. Oh. You are so passionate about this, and you speak about all of these different aspects so passionately. Your students must be constantly delighted.
Well, I always, I tell them I'm torturing them, and they laugh because I like to have them try new things. And maybe that's why so many of them have stayed with me for so long, is because we go beyond the basics and then we start trying things out. And learning new and incredible possibilities that you can do with 3 or 4 strings.
I've played for 46 years and I haven't run out yet. So, I am so grateful you were able to spend this time with us. And I know, where is your website again? Is it
ScottandIrmamusic.com?
Scott and Irma. Scott with 2 T's, right?
2 T's.
Irma
with an I. Yes.
Okay. All right. And Erin May will put that in the chat, and I know we have it in the description. So for our listeners and for your for your fans and stuff, this will be on replay at exactly the same link that the live one.
Oh, okay.
So folks can catch the replay. We put it all over Facebook and in our social media. You feel free to do so on your website if you want to link it there. That's great, because this has been a wonderful talk, and I think it'll be very inspirational for many people who are students and lovers of the dulcimer, or, as I said, dulcimer curious.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's just been a pleasure to just be able to sit down and chat dulcimers.
Yeah. This really feels to me like if we were able to sit down and have dinner after a festival, we would just talk like this, right?
That's right.
Maybe not this much. We would eat too.
We'd have to get to the next thing.
Yes, that's right. All right. Thanks so much. And thanks to all of you. And we hope to see you at the September 25th when Dana Gruber is going to join us, and Erin May will be chatting with her. So goodbye for now. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
There she is.